India, Indonesia and Brazil would be the Troika. This would be the first time in G20 that the Troika would consist of 3 developing countries and emerging economies in a row. As per the current program, the Bali summit comprises of 3 working sessions at the leaders level. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will be attending the 17th G20 summit meeting being hosted in Indonesia by Indonesia on 15-16 November in Bali. The summit is likely to be attended, as is the tradition, by the leaders of G20 member countries, guest countries and international organizations. As you all know, G20 is the premier forum for international economic cooperation, and it plays a crucial role in shaping and strengthening the global architecture and governance on all major international economic and developmental issues. The G20 members represent around 85% of the global GDP, over 75% of the global trade, and about 2/3 of the world's population. This G20 summit is particularly special because, as you are aware, India will hold the presidency of the G20 summit from 1st of December 2022 for a 1-year period, and the presidency handover will take place during the summit in Bali. During the summit, Prime Minister Modi and other G20 leaders will deliberate extensively upon key issues of contemporary relevance, including the state of global economy, issues relating to energy, environment, agriculture, health. On the sidelines of the Bali summit, Prime Minister would have several bilateral interactions with the G20 leaders to brief them, of course, on India's evolving G20 priorities, as also to review key elements of bilateral engagement with these world leaders. During our G20 presidency, India, Indonesia and Brazil would be the Troika. This would be the first time in G20 that the Troika would consist of 3 developing countries and emerging economies in a row. India, as the next chair, would endeavor to provide a greater voice to issues of interest to the global south, as I said earlier, and steer the G20 agenda in a representative and balanced manner. During his visit to Bali, Prime Minister will also address and interact with the Indian community and Friends of India in Bali at the Indian community reception on the 15th of November. Indian and community and diaspora have a strong presence across Indonesia. Prime Minister would depart Bali on 16th November 2022 on the conclusion of the Bali summit for India.